Hey guys, welcome back. I got another one for you today. But the first thing I want to talk about is the similarities between all of the cases dealing with the 411 cases. Um, okay, you got the fact that when a person disappears and the body is found, like he always says in all of his cases, a lot of the times when the body is found, they're found it'd be dead, and the body is pristine, like as if they just got out the shower. But they're face down with just nothing but their underwear on. But the weird thing is that the body looks clean, like as if it was like I said, he just got out the shower. And I have an analogy that kind of reminds me of a lot of the cases. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie The Race that came out in 1986, starring Charlie Sheen, where he played the race, and he was in this souped-up black car called the Turbo Interceptor. Now, the premise of the movie was that he was with his girlfriend some place, I forgot exactly where. I think it was at a lake or river cabin. A guy named Packard Walsh came in, they killed him, and took his girl. Okay, so he comes back years later, to for revenge, and he sets out to kill every single person who had something to do with his death. Henceforth, he killed everybody with his car, because they had this thing about racing people for pinks, or racing people, and if they lose their car, and they take the car. Okay, so long story short, he uses his car to kill all the members of the Packers gang. Here's the crazy part. If you have seen the movie, or if not, there's a part in the movie where every time a person, when the police show up at the scene, when they find the body is always pristine, and that's one of the things I noticed in that movie. It kind of reminds me of all the things that happen with all these cases. Every single person that was killed in Packer's gang, when they find the body inside the car, which was probably about 1,000 degrees at that time, when they find the body is untouched. It's not burnt, nothing. It's like clean, just like it just got out of the shower. The only thing is, the eyeballs will be missing. That was the crazy part. Now, and the last person to get killed in the movie was Packard Walsh. Same thing with him. All they found was the frame of the car, the metal frame of the car, and they found him lying outside of the car, but when you viewed his body in the movie, his body looked clean as a whistle, but he had no eyes. But let me, hold on one second. Let me show you. Real quick. I want to be able to see this. Because it came on about like an hour ago, and I paused it just so you can see it. That way I can show you what I'm talking about. You see that? Now, this is the scene after he was taken out by that race car. And if you can tell, if I can get this thing down. There we go. If you can tell, this is the result of him being blown up in the car. Okay? Now, as you can see, there is not one scratch on his body. No burn marks, no nothing. And you can't see the fact that his eyes are gone because he's got his eyes closed. But check this out. You see that? See that little black area right about here? Right at the waistline? That right there, he's in his underwear. Okay? I found that to be so weird, and I posted this on David Paulides' Facebook page one time, and I got a comment from someone who said that you have to be very careful in what you post, because you'll if a person who a family member of one of the victims who may actually see that will get upset, probably because it's like making them relive a horrible moment. But I just wanted to use that as an analogy because it's just so weird how you actually see these things happen in movies. Just like I said before, which is this is a good point, that a lot of TV shows and movies are based on true events. They just use bits and pieces in it just to make the movie look good. Like that right there, I bet you anything they got that idea from one of David Paulides' cases in the book. I bet you, because he always said that when the body is found, the body is found pristine and they be in the underwear. His body is pristine, like as if he just got out of the shower. Now, one mark on him, no burn marks, no nothing. No mutilated body parts from the crash. And he's in his underwear. It's just weird. When I first saw it, I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. That is just like how he describes in the books, where the body looks the same exact way. So, like I said, when you really, really think about this, I'm telling you, there's something weird going on here, guys. Trust me, there really is. Okay, now on to other things. I got another story here, and this is one of the names that I called out in my last post, what I was going to read about the person I was going to read about. And this one is starting with Chad Sharon, and I believe he actually talked about him one time before on Coast to Coast AM. On Coast to Coast AM, I believe. I'm not sure, but excuse me. Anyway, once again, talking about Chad Sharon. He went missing on 12/12/2002 in South Bend, Indiana. He was at the age of 18 when he disappeared. Okay, coming from a small city to the big-time campus world of Notre Dame may be a shock to some kids. Chad Sharon would have been the student who could manage to change and excel in grades. He was raised in Merrill, and later moved to Pelican Lake, Wisconsin. He was president of the student council and a National Honor Society president with perfect grades through school. His family lived on the lake, and Chad was a good swimmer. His attention to school and grades earned him a full academic scholarship to Notre Dame. Uh-oh. Your husband? Ah, shoot. Oh well. I'm sorry. the show actually ended because I had it on pause and it actually just went to the next movie after that. But anyway, his family lived on the lake, and Chad was a good swimmer. His attention to school and grades earned him a full academic scholarship to Notre Dame University in South Bend, Indiana. With a major in electrical engineering, he was the only child to Steve and Jane Sharon, and regularly contacted his parents while at school. The last communication that Sharon had with Chad was on December 11, 2012, when he sent an instant message that he was doing well. Nearing the end of his semester and looking forward to the break, he told them that he had purchased sweatshirts for their Christmas present. On the night of December 11, 2012, Chad was invited by dormitory friends to attend an off-campus party at 520 Corby Boulevard. Chad rode with his friends to the event and was having a good time. He was drinking alcohol but did not appear intoxicated. His buddies told him they were going to leave at some point. Chad stated he knew the way back to school, 5 blocks, and that he'd walk back. Witnesses reiterated that Chad was having fun and was socializing, but he was not drunk. It would appear that Chad left the party at approximately 3 or 3:30 a.m. At 4 a.m., he spoke briefly with the security guard at the Madison Center of Children at 701 North Niles Avenue in South Bend. This location sits adjacent to the St. Joseph River with a raised paved walking path separated the building from the water. The guard said that Chad asked for directions to the nearest convenience store. He was directed to a 7-Eleven 6 blocks away from 501 East LaSalle Avenue. I guess that means 501 East LaSalle Avenue, away from the water. This was the last time that Chad was seen alive. When Chad didn't arrive at his third floor Fisher Hall dormitory room, friends became concerned. He was formally reported as missing on December 13th. Notre Dame campus security and South Bend police worked together investigating the disappearance. Steve and Jane Sharon came to South Bend and met and questioned Chad's friends at his dormitory and worked with police answering questions about their son's demeanor. A January 16, 2003 article in the Notre Dame News had several important statements made by the parents. Jane Sharon stated that the disappearance was totally out of character. Later in the same article, Chad is a generally cautious person who is not a risk taker, according to his father. Also in the article is this: Chad is unlikely to have taken a walk in a wooded area or near a river at 4 in the morning. Steve Sharon said, the family lives on a lake and Chad is a competent swimmer, according to his parents. The police used dogs to search the campus and the river area. There was no scent discovered that led to the discovery of his body. The search was ongoing and intensive. There was very little information of investigatory importance for almost 2 months. On February 12, 2003, a full 2 months after Chad disappeared, a worker for a concrete removal company was examining the Angela Bridge in South Bend when he observed what he thought was a body in the St. Joseph River. This location is approximately 1 mile north from where Chad was last seen. The body was removed and determined to be Chad. Police found his wallet still in his pants a full 2 months after he'd been reported missing. The body went to the medical examiner where it was determined that Chad drowned accidentally and had a blood alcohol level of 0.22%. It was never determined how Chad entered the water, why he went near the water, or how he got directions to the 7-Eleven so confused that he went in the opposite direction. I have written many stories about highly intellectual students and professionals who have disappeared and were later located under very unusual circumstances. Many of these individuals were found in or near water. The Notre Dame campus and Fisher Hall held several assemblies and prayer sessions for Chad and his family. Okay, now with this one, like I said, this is a typical case on how a person seems to be doing fine. You know, he's hanging out with his friends, he's at a party, he's drinking, which is another hit in a lot of these cases, which is very similar to the rest of them. And he tells them he's going to walk, and I find that happens in a lot of these cases too. They either are never seen leaving the area where they were last seen, or they say that they're just going to walk back to wherever they live or sleep at. Now, for something like that to happen, he gets directions to go to a 7-Eleven, and then he ends up in the river. You know, he knew where to go to get to the 7-Eleven, but he goes in the opposite direction and ends up in a body of water. Now, what was on his mind when that happened, I don't know. It seems that something takes control of the mind and makes them go in the opposite direction, so that they can be in the area where they will be found or where they will be killed or taken, you know. And I'm pretty sure there was no markings on the body. There was no sign of death. They just said that he drowned and he was intoxicated. Okay, but still, I don't think that that was enough for him to just stagger to the point where he falls in a body of water. First of all, what would make him go in that direction if he was supposed to be going to a 7-Eleven? So obviously, at some point, there was some kind of mind control put in place for him to actually go in that direction instead of in the direction the security guard told him to go. Now, for a case like this happened back in 2003. So the fact that they probably still don't know what happened to him, they don't know what he encountered, they don't know who he may have met up with. Furthermore, how did he end up in the water in the first place? He was supposed to be going to a 7-Eleven. I mean, did he just suddenly change his mind and say, well, you know what, I'm just going to go back home? Now, I think it said that it was away from the campus. Let me see. Let's see. I don't think it said, it might have said, okay, here we go. He was directed to a 7-Eleven 6 blocks away from 501 East LaSalle Avenue, away from the water. Okay, so yeah, that was away from the water. So how he just happened to just turn around and go back in the opposite direction towards the water, it's almost like they are being, it's like something took them over and they were drawn to the water so that they can meet their demise in that area. I don't know. But it's just strange. You know, there's not too much to say on this. You know, it's just the fact that he supposed to be going in one direction, but he ends up going in the opposite direction towards the water and ends up in the water. So what would make him do that? I don't know. So, but that's my time on that story. But yeah, like I was saying earlier about the similarities of the cases and the fact that you find that a lot of movies and TV shows are based on true facts that they cut from these cases and add them to the movies to add some flair. Now that right there, where you saw Packard Walsh's body inside of the metal frame of his car, and yet there was not one scratch on him. I mean, pristine, like as if he just stepped out of the shower. And the other members of the gang, like Bobby Fisher, I think his name was. Yeah, Bobby Fisher. Oh, Augie Fisher, I'm sorry. His name was, one of the characters in the movie was named Augie Fisher. He was one of the first ones to get killed. Now, when they found him, and they put him on the stretcher and put him in the ambulance, they called one of the guys that called Loomis, who was the sheriff in that town, over to the ambulance, and he showed him what they recovered from the wreckage. And the same thing, his body was pristine, but he had no eyeball. He had no eyeball. They were completely removed. Sorry, man, I'm getting a little tongue tied right now. His eyeballs were completely removed, and the only thing that was left was his body. And I'm talking, he had all his hair, and his body was just like pristine. Now his lips was all kind of black and blue, but it was just the fact that he had no markings on his body, just like in all the cases. So the fact that I saw this, and I'm like, wow, that is just major weird. So pay attention to the movie that you see and think about if there's a scene in the movie where it deals with someone being killed, and it may remind you of a case that you find in one of his books. I'm just saying, it's just very weird how all this evidence is put out there, almost like subliminal messages. They put different criteria and categories from these cases and put them in books, and they put them in movies. And you see this stuff, and you never really think that, okay, that reminds me of a case that I read in one of his books. That's what happens when you see this stuff. So, like I told you guys, that in my last post, the unknown, the unexplained, all this stuff about folkloric creatures and, invisible beings that can take people out without even touching them, that can do what they do without leaving any evidence. Everything that's completely unexplained will eventually become the facts in all these cases. That's my opinion. David Paulides does a very good job in stating facts when it comes to these cases. He gives you all of the information. I mean, everything down to the last, go to dealing with all these cases. He's very good at that. But like I said, when it comes to people like me, I look at that stuff too. I look at the facts, and it makes me think about, okay, maybe it was this or maybe it was that, and then I look at this movie. I'm like, wow, that is just major creepy that they actually put a scenario like that in the movie. And it makes you wonder, because see, a lot of the cases happen in California or in certain parts of California. Even though this was in Arizona, a lot of missing persons cases come from Arizona as well. And the fact that they have all these, weird names for all the areas in there, like Dead Man's Drop or, whatever. And just like he said in the book, a lot of the cases have the word devil in them, as far as the areas where these people are found dead. And it's the same thing with the places in this movie. They had a lot of those weird names that was affiliated with the death of the people that was actually in the movie. So I'm just saying, be mindful of the things that you see in movies and try to think about it and realize that some of the stuff that you find in those movies, when it comes to a death in the movie, the evidence and what you see in the movie is related to what you may see in these books or read about in these books. So, but anyway, like I said, that's my time. I want to wish everybody a very happy New Year, and hope that your New Year will be bright and that things will be different in the year 2017. In the coming days. And everybody knows we got Trump in the chair now. Not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a good thing. But at the same time, I know that a lot of things are going to change, and some things may not. I don't know. But all I'm saying is, I hope that you guys have a prosperous New Year, and I hope that things will be different for everybody in a positive way in the coming days of 2017. So, aloha, mahalo, and hui ho. Peace out, guys. Be safe and be blessed.